Welcome to another episode. Today's question is the theory of divine intoxication comparable to the symptoms of hypomanic state? Today's question is the theory of divine intoxication comparable to the symptoms of the hypomanic state? There are many things which outwardly may look similar, but it may not be the same. One has to look more deeply. If all the symptoms are there, then it may be illness. What you may say to be true for some, but it is not definitely for all. We have seen great divine persons like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Meera, Kabir. These are the people who are with the divine intoxications, to say. There are many, but at least these were the famous, some of the famous divine people. The reason it looks like that is because we lose the self. Of course, through jnana it is more calm. In a different way, you lose the self. But in divine intoxication also, the self is lost, the thought is lost. So there is no self-identity. So that is similar to the intoxicated state. So when you are intoxicated, what happens? The identity, thoughts, everything go off. The I goes off, the ego goes off. When you are intoxicated, brain functions become limited. In a similar fashion, in a divine intoxication, the self-identity goes off. So both outwardly look similar, but it is not the same. So what is hypomania? We will see the definition. Hypomania is an abnormally revved up state of the mind that affects your mood, thoughts and behavior, and is a potential symptom of bipolar disorder, particularly type 2. What is hypomania? A hypomanic episode commonly manifests with unusual gaiety, excitement, flamboyance, or irritability, along with potential secondary characteristics like restlessness, extreme talkativeness, increased distractibility, reduced need for sleep, and intense focus on a single activity. Hypomanic people tend to be unusually cheerful, have more than ample energy, and need little sleep. Hypomania is a pleasurable state. It may confer a heightened sense of creativity and power. However, hypomania can subtly impair a person's judgment. Too much confidence can conceal the consequences of decisions. Hypomania impairs a person's judgment. Too much confidence can conceal the consequence of decisions. So next we will see from Harvard Mental Health Letter, Harvard Medical School. Hypomania is usually described as a mood state or energy level that is elevated above normal, but not so extreme as to cause impairment, the most important characteristic of distinguishing it from mania. The word hypomanic tends to confuse some people because of the hypofix. Hypo is from Greek, which means under, and it is used in this case because this mood state is under or less manic than the mania. But compared with normal mood, hypomania is actually higher. It is less than mania, but higher than the normal mood. The decreased need for sleep that you describe is one of the hallmarks of hypomania. Some people who are hypomanic sleep only few hours a day, and yet they say they feel rested. At the same time, many creative people are energetic, and while they are in a flow, they may need less sleep. So that should not be confused with hypomania. That does not necessarily mean they are hypomanic. Okay. The diagnostic criteria for hypomania require at least 3 of the following symptoms for at least 4 days: inflated self-esteem or grandiosity, decreased need for sleep, increased talkativeness, raising thoughts or ideas, marked distractibility, agitation or increased activity, excessive participation in activities that are pleasurable but invite personal or physical harm, like shopping sprees, sexual indiscretions, impulsive business investments, and the like. For mania, the symptoms are mostly the same, except they last at least 1 week, which leads to hospitalization, or include psychotic symptoms, a break with reality. So these are the hypomanic symptoms which we have seen. Then we will see about the divine intoxication. It is completely different. First we will see divine intoxication and Rumi by Llewellyn Vaughan-Lee. What is this bliss, this sweet intoxication known to lovers of God? What is this bewildering state of the heart in which the mind is dissolved and the soul is awakened? Rumi, a 13th century Sufi teacher and one of the world's greatest poets of mystical love, knew of these mysteries of the heart. His verses tell the stories of the soul's affair with God, whom the Sufis call the beloved, the love affair that leads from the pain and anguish of longing until we are united with our divine nature. This is the greatest mystical journey that draws us from ourselves back to our beloved. The beloved has permeated every cell of my body, of myself. There remains only a name, everything else is him. If knowledge does not liberate us from the self, the ignorance is better than such a knowledge. We came whirling out of nothingness, scattering stars like dust. The stars made a circle and in the middle we dance. Every atom turns bewildered, and it is only God circling himself. It is he who suffers his absence in me, who through me cries out to himself. Love's most strange, most holy mystery. We are intimate beyond belief. The sugar sack is ripped, spilling sugar everywhere. I am so ruined with love that beggar children stone me in the alleys. I am so mad with love that madmen say, be still. This is from Jalaluddin Rumi, about Jalaluddin Rumi. Then we will see Mirabai, written by Swami Shivananda in Sankirtanam. Meera's earthly life was full of troubles and difficulties. She was persecuted, she was tormented, and yet she kept up an undaunted spirit and a balanced mind all through. By the strength of her devotion and grace of her beloved Krishna, though she was princess, she begged alms and lived sometimes on water alone. She led a life of perfect renunciation and self-surrender. Meera was fearless in her nature, simple in her habits, joyous in her disposition, amiable in her deportment, graceful in her behavior, and elegant in her demeanor. She immersed herself in the love of Giridhar Gopal. The name of Giridhar Gopal was always on her lips, even in her dreams. She lived and had her being in Sri Krishna. Meera had Anuraga and Ragatmika Bhakti. She never cared for public criticism and the injunctions or interpretations of the spiritual ordinances. She danced in the streets. She did no ritualistic worship. She had spontaneous love for Lord Krishna. From her very childhood, she poured forth her love on Lord Krishna. Krishna was her husband, friend, all relations, and the Guru. Krishna was her Prananatha. Meera had no doubt exhausted her vasanas in the preliminary modes of worship in her prayer births. In her divine intoxication, Meera danced in public places. Her exalted state could not be adequately described in words. She was sunk in the ocean of Prem Bhakti. She had no consciousness of her body and her surroundings. Who could gauge the depth of her devotion? Who could understand her internal state of Prem Bhava? Meera was like Lord Gauranga. She was an embodiment of love and innocence. Her heart was the temple of devotion. Her face was lotus flower of prem. There was kindness in her look, love in her talk, joy in her discourses, power in her speech, and fervor in her songs. What a marvelous creation of God! What a personality of charm! Meera veritably taught the world the way of love of God. So next we will see humanism in Kabir. Kabir was also intoxicated with love for God. Why they are not what do you call hypomanic? Because they were normal in every sense of the word, in a way. Kabir could write about humanism. Meera could function in normal way, though intoxicated with love of God. So Kabir's verses we will see. I am smitten by love, now who will weep, O mother? I am drunk on Rama wine, now who will weep, O mother? Why do you look for me, dear? I am closer than close to you. Neither in temple mosque am I, nor in Kaaba or Kailash, nor in rituals, nor in yoga ways. Neither in goat sheep am I, nor in axe knife, nor in skin or tail, nor in flesh and bone. He who earns finds at once. Far from crowd, I live in quiet refuge. Listen to me in the void, says Kabir, in between all the breeds. So between all the breeds, God is there. If one could reach heaven by tonsuring, would not the sheep be there? If one would be realized by preserving the seed, would not the nurtures be so? Speak in words so sweet that fill the heart with joy, like a cool breeze in summer, for others and self to enjoy. O friend, hope for him whilst you live. Know whilst you live, understand whilst you live. For in life deliverance abides. If your bonds be not broken whilst living, what hope of deliverance in death? It is but an empty dream that soul shall have union with him, because it has passed from the body. If he is found now, he is found then. If not, we do but go to dwell in the city of death. If you have union now, you shall have it hereafter. Bathe in the truth, know the true Guru. Have faith in true name. Kabir says it is the spirit of the quest which helps. I am the slave of the spirit of the quest. O Sadhu, the simple union is the best. Since the day when I met with my Lord, there has been no end to the sport of our love. I shut not my eyes, I close not my ears. I do not mortify my body. I see with eyes, open and smile, and behold his beauty everywhere. I utter his name, and whatever I see, it reminds me of him. Whatever I do, it becomes his worship. The rising and setting are one to me. All contradictions are solved. Wherever I go, I move round him. All I achieve is his service. When I lie down, I lie prostrate at his feet. So these are Kabir's verses. You can see the normal thinking in him of understanding the oneness. You can call it God if you want. So that clarity is there. So they are not hypomanic, away from the reality. So with this, you may understand the difference between a hypomanic and a person intoxicated with the divine love of God. So there is a difference. It is not the same. So with this, we will end this episode. Stay with me for another episode. Thank you.